1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of explaining all of synthesis, and it's time to talk about the LFO in the room. Last episode, we talked about envelopes, which are modulators. LFOs are also modulators. It takes as input a set of parameters, which is values you assign at the beginning, and outputs a map on how to modulate another parameter that you assign it to. Now, LFO stands for low frequency oscillator. And if you're thinking, well, back in episode 1, we talked about oscillators, is this not the same thing? You would be right on the money. The only difference is that the frequency is low. So the human ear can only hear between about 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. I'm going to take this LFO right here and have it affect the oscillator's pitch. Now when I play it, pitch is going to go up and down at the frequency of 1 hertz. I'm going to crank that frequency up, and as we pass 20 hertz, you're going to start to hear another frequency emerge, and it's the frequency at which I'm changing the frequency. Towards the end, you get that. That's you hearing the frequency that the LFO is producing. But that's not what LFOs are for. They're for modulating parameters. Pitch, filter frequency, filter resonance, really anything you want to assign it to. Now let's get into its parameters. First off, waveform. When we pull up our LFO, it's going to be on a sine wave, but you can toggle it to any of these. There's also this last waveform over here that just does random stuff, which is really useful sometimes. Next up, we have rate. Here, we're telling it how fast to oscillate. It can be measured in hertz, which is what we've been looking at so far, or you can toggle up here so that it measures in fractions of the tempo. Next, we have amount. Amount is the amount in which the LFO is going to affect whatever parameter it's affecting. 100 will be super drastic, and 25 might feel more like a vibrato. Lastly, we have offset, and I'm not trying to get super math major on you, but remember trigonometry and how there were sine functions? Well, the sine wave is what the sine function looks like. Just like the sine function, when x equals 0, so does y. However, using the offset, I can offset where the function starts. If I want it to start high, I can offset it by 90 degrees. And 180 will also start at 0, but it'll go down first instead of up. And that's really it for LFOs. They're simple yet nifty little devices, just like with envelopes. The whole fun of them is to assign them to literally anything. They can be used to add a little level of randomness or movement and things. Highly recommend a video on YouTube of Steve Porcaro, the OG of synthesis, talking about how he recreates strings and brass sounds on a synthesizer, and it's all in how he uses LFOs to modulate different parameters so that the sound feels organic. And that's just about it for today's video. Tune in next time for our final video on synthesis. But really the core of it, we've already discussed. There's an oscillator, there's a filter, there's an envelope that can modify either the amplitude or literally anything else, and there's LFOs that can modulate anything you want them to. It really is that simple, but it really is that fun. Drop in the comments if you have any questions or anything you want me to go into with more depth, and I'll see you next time.